Hey y'all. I'm in rare form today, and I don't know if it'll continue to be rare or what, but I felt like I wanted to take the opportunity to come in here and talk to you guys. And it's Kaya's birthday today. She's 8, and she's in the other room doing some origami that my mom got for her. So while I am not needed out there at the moment, I thought I would sneak away and do all of this so that I can channel whatever is happening through here and provide that invitation for anyone who is interested to sit down with me today so that I am not just putting that out on everybody who comes over to my house for Kaya's birthday. There's sort of a dense energy about. I'm not sure if you feel that. I think a lot of people do. And I talked about it a bit in some of the videos that I made recently, and also I've been talking about this to my friends for a while. Do you feel like you're being prepared for something? Sorry if that sounds a little ominous. Um, Something about the Neptune and Saturn hanging around 29 degrees of Pisces. Um, Saturn is form and Neptune is formlessness. And the number 29 in the zodiac is obviously like the last, the end of something. So, all that to say, it can be an exciting time. It can also be a time where you're grieving what can't come with you into the next phase. And that naturally happens during this part of the year too. Any sort of seasonal change is big, but particularly that fall dying off, Persephone and Nana, so on and so forth. I hope you don't mind. I'm just shuffling from a few different decks so that I can get a broader spectrum picture of the energy here. Let's just start with this. Hmm. Everybody's upside down today. So I am not sure maybe if this translates to you being unsure about the next steps, but let's just explore this. Okay, so we have the dragonfly and the pansy balance. Important to define and continue to redefine what balance means to you. You might be making a lot of discoveries about that right now. Luck, the duck and the chrysanthemum. Okay, luck. Yeah, luck is an interesting word in our language. I think if I had to ask you one question about this, it would be, do you believe you have an active role in your fate or your fortune? The badger and the ginkgo, healing wounds, the deer and the oat, healing. Something about something feeling impossible to heal. And it may be that your focus needs to go elsewhere at this time. If something just simply feels too big to get through, maybe you're looking at something that's a bit further down the road for you. Maybe it's something that's going to continue to unfold Is there a way that you can break that big? So that's a great goal to have, that overall intention. Can you break it down? Can you be a little more specific? Are there steps on the way to that bigger goal? The vulture and okay, yeah. Upheaval. Upheaval. Let's turn her around. Yeah, okay. Um, when towers are crumbling, it can feel sometimes like you're doing the wrong thing. It can feel like you're on the wrong path. One thing I have to say about that is sometimes the towers really need to come down. Maybe the foundation they were built upon wasn't one that's going to serve you in the future. Maybe it's not even serving you well in the present. Maybe your higher self or maybe in your head, you're really, this. You might have been asking for help. Show me the way, show me what's not for me, clear the obstacles out of your way. A lot of times this upheaval, and that's part of this being prepared for something. The ground starts moving beneath you so that you can jump to a place that's going to carry you to wherever you need to go. You can think of it like if there are, let's just say this will sound a little dualistic, but stay with me here. If there's a bunch of people and they're just flowing in this river of chaos, and one day you sort of like look around you and you're like, oh my God, like I've been flowing in this river of chaos this whole time. And you pull yourself out of it, it can feel really shocking. You're like the temperature difference of getting out of the water, the way that things aren't rushing and swirling around you so much all of the time. It's not that you might never have to go back in again. It's not that you are never going to, it's not that you have to go off and live in the woods for the rest of your life and never be with humans who are anywhere near that river ever again. It's just like at the moment, you are being asked to, if you can, take yourself out of that current and sit on the shore. Start making your way over to the shore, sit on the shore. Um, you're not blocked from going back in the river again if you so choose. But if you have been asking for an opportunity to get a different perspective, to gain clarity on what it is you're here for at the end of the day, the upheaval is a good thing. It's just that not all growth feels affirming, especially right away. I pulled from my, what's it called? Shadow. Well, it's called Dark Mirrors. It's obviously a shadow work deck. Really, they all are, if we let them. We have Addicted and Black Flower Fragrance. So something that, okay, do you know how I've been talking a lot about sort of the very interesting waters that we're in right now and how that can pull up a lot of stuff from within the psyche, whether that's in you or in the people around you, in the world, whatever. It is important to be able to comfort yourself and be there for yourself. But at the same time, be aware that past patterns generally check in on you when you are in the midst of some kind of breakthrough, and just, expect that addictions in any and all forms, coming back around to say hello. You don't have to pretend like you don't see them, but you can wave them as they pass by. You can spend some time with them. You don't have to let them possess you. And, and, and if you do, if you do let them in, if you do let them take charge, take direction, forgive yourself and keep moving forward. It doesn't have to, these things don't have to be part of your identity. They they are here to bring our attention to something. And if they are recurring, it might be good to figure out what they're trying to bring your attention to. It will be good to figure out what they're bringing your attention to. However, if there are other things that you're concerned with right now, see if you can find other ways to fill those holes. For example, are there any sort of rituals or routines you can bring into your life? Depending on your experience with stuff like this can either sound like I'm being far too, like, as though I don't understand the power that these things hold. I do. There are ways, allow yourself to be led to meaningful rituals, routines. If you have an issue with daily rituals, if that's not your thing, can you do something weekly? Can you do something monthly? But if you can do something daily, you don't have to be perfect. Again, forgive yourself if you fall off. It's not about punishment. That's one of the big rewiring things that a lot of us are doing right now. Allow yourself to try out new things. If you haven't found what works for you, try the things that you're led to. Try the things that sound interesting to you. If there's someone who does a thing and you're like, "Oh, I feel the power of that thing that they do and I want some of that in my life." Ask them, maybe ask them about their advice on how to get started on that thing or bring something back that you used to do that used to really help you. There's so many ways to go with this, right? And um, you'll find your own rhythm with it. For me, it's almost hard to list them all because at this point it sounds ridiculous. And one of your little routines might be like, I go get this iced tea at this um, drive-through restaurant, and it's maybe it's not the best thing for me, but it's better than most of the options out there. And it makes me feel like I'm treating myself in a certain way. And I notice that when I get that iced tea, I carry myself differently. I'm nicer to the people around me. I'm able to feel supported by that sweet drink so that I can do something creative. Maybe you can journal really well after you've treated yourself to whatever it is. If you felt the moon cycles calling to you, please sit with the moon. Please. You don't have to look at the moon. You don't have to be out there on the new moon or the full moon looking. In some traditions, it's actually better that you don't. Um, Either way, can you connect with the energy of the moon cycles and start paying attention to those rhythms? A lot of you already do that. But if you've been feeling called, I just want to give this confirmation. I like that idea that you have. I like it a lot. Black flower fragrance. So anything that you are putting on that is not really you, and it's just meant to sort of exude something that you've noticed other people are expecting from you in some way, some sort of thing that you might do to sort of like slip by unnoticed, like, oh yeah, I'm a normal people. Um, Gain access to something, but it's not really you. Something that you spend a lot of time and energy on for appearances only. And it doesn't, at the end of the day, it's not really who is doing that. It's happening through you, but it's not really coming from you. Okay. I pulled from the Celtic Healing Oracle. We have the Fairy Hill, and it says the hidden world of fairies. So there are all these unseen, invisible forces around us at all times. Just because you can't see them doesn't mean they're not there. You already know this, but I want to, if any part of this journey that you're in right now is feeling overwhelming to you, is there any way to bring the awareness of how like enchanted the world that we live in actually is back into your daily existence? Is that something you can do for yourself? Can you read some fairy tales? Maybe for you, it's like romance, uh, vampire novels. I don't know, with like a 19-year-old. Like a lot of people love to read those fairy stories. I recently downloaded an essay that Tolkien wrote between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings because I believe that Lord of the Rings was like a story for our times. Okay. Um, and that Tolkien was like a prophet in his own right, essentially. It's not just him, but I think he did a really good job. The story speaks to me a lot, but how can you re-enchant your world? If an opportunity is making itself known to you, that is a portal. And if part of you still wants to roll your eyes, why? Like, okay. Um, and that part of you that wants to roll their eyes, we welcome them here. Come sit with us. It's fine. It's okay. It's okay to be cynical. It's okay to be nihilistic. We want to hear those parts of you too. But still, there are fairies everywhere. There are unseen, invisible forces everywhere. And no matter how much it seems like a lot of the world wants to deny that or say that only what we can perceive with our eyes is what's real. I've been mostly blind since I was a baby. So yeah, bring it back, bring it back. Allow yourself to imagine. The word imagination has been ripped on. Even SpongeBob in this, he's like, imagination. You know what I mean? As though it's like this like silly, goofy, childish thing, right? SpongeBob. But it's everything. And like if you know about the spirit world, a lot of the stuff happens in the imaginal. That doesn't mean it's not real. A lot of the times it's more real than a lot of this collective delusion that so many humans are perpetuating to their own Detriment. Wells and thermal springs return to source. The thought is coming through you and it's not loving. It is not coming from you. But there can be fragments of truth in it. If you're feeling fear, that is one of these external influences. But that's not to say that the fear is not real. If there's something in you saying, I should be better, I should do better, because if I don't, I'm going to be punished. That is not what is going to get you where you know you need to be going. One thing too, I want you to notice here are the ripple effects in the pond, as well as the fact that the pond is not hoarding all of its water. Some of it is flowing out, like it's full, but it is sharing with its neighbor. It's not hoarding the water, the resources. Okay. All right. So I'm feeling strongly about calling protection in. So let's ask the Paladin deck. If you don't know what a Paladin is, just Google it to get a really quick overview, I guess. But, basically it's this archetype, somewhat similar to a warrior. However, the focus is more on protection. A Paladin is sort of like a holy warrior that protects themselves and their party from negative influences, demonic forces, sometimes protects them from harm, like physical harm. Okay, aid. This one is talking about helping others. This says divine favor. Your prayer empowers you with divine radiance. Until the spell ends, your weapon attacks deal an extra 1d4 radiant damage on a hit. So that's interesting, right? Like, how can helping others potentially bolster your own spell casting? To me, that's just like your actions speaking for themselves. When it's saying your weapon attacks deal extra damage, I don't necessarily see that as you're dealing physical damage to other people. It's just more of like your aura here is protective against people who might take advantage of you or the people around you in some way. Um, Generally, it's good to focus on you first. We have aura of purity. This one's about standing in your values. So right now, when we're at the end of that Saturn Neptune thing I was talking about, where it's form and formlessness, and the form part of it is what's asking you to hold a shape or to move accordingly so that you can do what you need to do in this next phase. Like basically you are being shaped or becoming You're shaping yourself into the person who can do the work that you're being called to do in the next phase. It's an in-between time. And one of the ways to sort of protect yourself is to stand firm in your values. We got that oak card yesterday on the back porch, and that is all about that. Like, go listen to the last part of that message again, that tree card at the very end, because that's everything. When you are unshakable in what you know to be important to you, you're unmovable. Other people's influences don't sway you. You know, maybe you go out there and you find something, extremely captivating and interesting, and you do feel moved in some way. But chances are, if you are, if you know the values that you have and what makes you feel in integrity and in alignment, the only things that are going to be able to penetrate that aura are the things that are supposed to, because you already know what you stand on. And not only do you know, but you're you're doing it. And so it's obvious to a lot of people that you won't be interested in that other thing because that's not in alignment with you. Now, this one's really interesting. This is the fifth level enchantment. Um, which is a higher level one. And you place a magical command on a creature that you can see within range, forcing it to carry out some service. You can end the spell early by using an action to dismiss it. A remove curse, greater restoration, or a wish spell also ends it. Right? So if you're someone who has influence on the people around you and you know it, how are you utilizing that influence? And could it potentially be time to let that go in some way, shape, or form? Could it be time to use that influence in a different way, something that's more aligned with your values? Um, is this at all a game that you're playing to keep yourself involved, like to keep your power sort of channeled into this control of the other rather than bringing that power back to yourself and utilizing it within your own life and your agency? Okay. All right, Spirit, help me with what is happening here. This is just a lot. It's reminding me of just a situation where there's so much floating around in the air, and it's really hard to grasp any real notion of what's happening. And I think that that's fitting for the current sky weather and everything that's going on. Okay, the devil. Um, the ties that bind. How do you keep yourself small? Okay, so the devil. Are there any ways that you are waiting for someone else to show up and give you like sacred instructions of some kind? Are there any parts of you who want someone to model it for you? I think a lot of you already know what you want to do. If not, if you don't know exactly what it looks like, you have a general idea. You have the first step. Uh, take the first step. Take the next step. It's not easy, but you have everything that you need to do it. You have it already, and you already know that. That's the best part. Um, Eight of Emotions, Eight of Cups, letting go of letting go of the past, letting go of when I say letting go of emotions, I don't like it because it makes me feel like I'm pushing them away. And we don't want to do that. But I've already rambled on and on about being with what comes up for you. Let's hear again. Mm, this is the Knight of Cups. It says overthinking is overrated and let this take the scenic route. Let your heart be the GPS. That's the thing about like grieving the loss of certainty. Yeah. This is the Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles. It might feel like you sort of have to rush around to keep yourself stabilized right now. And that might be true. Is there anything that you can release? There are so many expectations that we have grown up with and chosen to continue to work with. I'm doing kids' birthdays a lot differently than I imagined doing them. There are so many expectations that I simply cannot meet. And you know, as long as my child feels cared for, loved, seen, and I don't always pull that off in the way that I want to either. But those are the important things. That's not the gift wrapping and that they get thousands of expensive gifts or anything like that. It's not, I don't need to have a cooler full of sugary drinks for the children. I just need something for them to eat, something for them to drink. We do a cake. Is there something you can release yourself from if it feels like there's too much going on right now? Can you? Yeah, that's perfect because it helps with priorities. If you, yeah, I don't have to say any more on that. If you figure out what is non-negotiable, that helps with standing in your values and having that protective aura that we were talking about anyway. So releasing yourself. And I think you've already been doing that. You've already been like, okay, that's not me. I don't need to do that. I don't need to play that game anymore. Perfect. You're doing so well, but keep going. That's what the message is. We're gonna end today with a message from the Kali Oracle. I think I've said this on here. Maybe I said it somewhere else. But I think a lot of okay, so I think that these Hindu goddesses and gods, they do better with not bypassing some of our lower vibrational emotions. Okay, so let's go with it and see what comes up. Okay, one message that's coming through is if you felt the call of Kali, Durga, Hecate, Lilith, Inanna, Persephone, Medusa, There are more. These are just some of them that I'm a little more familiar with. If you're asking to connect with her, could it be possible that you're expecting her to show up in a way that is pleasing to you aesthetically and that you are not recognizing? Or maybe you're even expecting her to show up in a way that feels good to your ego or um, your expectation of what is expected of you right now. I get one more piece, Spirit. Nope. Okay. Okay. All right, give me a moment because she's really long-winded. Kali Mahamaya is Kali Ma, the spiritual truth beneath all appearances, healing waiting to be discovered in all experiences. In harmony with your higher self, she manifests the path upon which you can best learn, heal, and grow. She is unclothed, symbolizing wild, unconditional authenticity. She is the empowerment to discard conditioning and judgments that we have worn. Cast off the fearful constraints others have imposed on you. Connecting to your authentic being will attract healing, guidance, and divine grace to you now. Okay, so you asked for this in some way, and she's here. This kind of energy doesn't always feel affirming. It doesn't always feel fluffy and rainbows and unicorns. You see the water here and the mirror reflection. Our wild divine mother knows when to become gentle with our hearts, bestowing sweetness that liberates us from fear. Though you may have faced much struggle and challenge on your path, though it may seem only the most powerful intensity could stem the tide of negativity, the dark mother of grace will conquer the obstacles to your freedom with gentleness. She manifests herself now as Baedra, the gentle. She will calm the waves of emotion, eradicate doubt and despair, and provide safe and graceful passage through all difficulties. So this is a very protective energy. At the same time, resonant with that upheaval that we were talking about earlier. Two more cards. Fierce with sacred rage, cannot be deceived nor deterred. She is unflinching, fearless, and determined. She causes that which is unworthy of the soul to flee and secures divine protection for the authentic soul path. Her presence empowers our hearts to face our fears and signifies that we are ready to overcome anything that has held us back. She gives us the power to fulfill our heart's desire and reminds us to embrace our unique path with confidence. You have everything in you to face these things that are coming up for you right now, to stand in your values, to determine what they are, to stand in them, and to continue to be shaped by your experience and to stay here. to be here with us and not tap out of the interconnectivity of all that is. I know I need to hear this right now. Okay, the final message to end on. She is completely and utterly in love with your divine essence, and in her love bestows endless gifts. Your path need not be one of endless effort. Connecting with pleasure as a path of personal empowerment with an intention to bring spiritual benefit to the collective through softening and opening your heart is an act of worshiping the divine feminine. Relax into the presence of what is as you slow your pace and make swifter progress. So let what isn't you fall away and just watch as the path unfolds. Yes, keep taking steps forward. You already know how to do that. You already know how to do the pushing part, the trying part, the making things happen part. Y'all are really fucking good at that. Now try doing less. Doesn't mean that you don't have to make decisions, you don't have to take action, you don't have to step forward. You are still part of what's making things happen. Your participation, your co-creation is needed for the next step. Otherwise, it's just all up here. But what this is saying to me is that right now, like the path is open. Whether or not it's a little foggy right now, like to me, that's a good sign if the path is foggy, because you are the one who gets to determine what's next. No one is going to come down and tell you exactly what to do. That's all you. And you got it. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this here and I'll see you again soon.